Hey guys, Mr. Furtick here. Hope everybody's having a great day. And I would like to go over a new lesson with you guys on protein, which is our amino acids. For each one of these slides that I go over with you guys, I will attach a video that goes into more detail about every slide that I go over. So please watch all the videos that go along with this. Okay, so we've been going over just about every single one of the macronutrients. Okay, so this is going to be the last macro. We talked about carbohydrates, we talked about fats, we talked about calories. Now we're talking about proteins. So we're going to be going over digestion and absorption of proteins. Okay, and like I said, when you go over these slides, you guys want to be taking notes on all these definitions that are on each slide, right? For instance, proteins are necessary as structural materials such as is necessary for cell building. So a lot of people will ask, why is protein so important? Why do you use supplements? Why do you use protein shakes, protein bars? Protein is one of the building blocks of the human body. It's the building blocks of our cells, the building blocks of our muscles. So that's why it's so important to keep our protein at a certain level. And a lot of people don't take in enough protein, guys. So that's why I always suggest taking in supplements if you can't get your protein in with your whole foods. Proteins in the body. Proteins act as enzymes, hormones, regulators of fluid balance, acid-base regulators, and antibodies. So these are some more functions of proteins and why they are so important in our body. The amino acid pool is a supply of amino acid derived from either food proteins or body proteins that collect in the cells and circulating blood and stand ready to be incorporated in proteins and other compounds or used for energy. Proteins in the body. The degradation and synthesis of protein is called protein turnover. The amount of nitrogen consumed as compared with the amount of nitrogen excreted in a given period of time is called the nitrogen balance. So one thing I do want you guys to realize is that you can take in too much protein. So there is a fine balance. Typically you would take in around a gram of protein per pound. If you're training, if you're an athlete, some clients might take a little bit less if maybe they're sedentary. And some people might take in 1.5 grams to 2 grams of protein per pound, depending upon what type of athlete they are and how often they train. So this is something that we have to work on, and there's a fine balance with that number. When a need arises, the body breaks down working and structural proteins and uses the amino acids for glucose and energy. An adequate supply of carbohydrates and fats spares amino acids, preventing wasting of lean body tissue. This is something that's very important, guys, for everybody out there who is trying to build muscle. The last thing you want to do is break down muscle tissue. That's a big reason why proteins in the body are so important. But you also want to take in the right amount of carbs and fat with your protein so you don't have the wasting of lean body tissue. So just because you're taking in enough protein doesn't necessarily mean you're taking in enough carbs and fat. So that's why tracking your macronutrients is so important, guys. The process of excreting urea, unused nitrogen, first involves the liver converting ammonia to urea and then excreting through the kidneys. And this is something we have to be careful of, because if you do take an excess of too much protein, you can have some kidney issues. Proteins in foods. Protein digestibility is a measure of the amount of amino acids absorbed from a given protein intake. So you typically are going to take around maybe 30 to 60 to 70 grams of protein per meal. If you go above the 70, 80, 90 gram mark, you might have some protein digestibility issues. So we want to probably lower that protein down per meal. Typically, I'll break my protein up into 5 to 6 meals, around 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Dietary proteins containing all the essential amino acids in relatively the same amounts that human beings required are called high quality proteins. So I always prefer to take in whole foods for my proteins, which would be your chicken, your turkey, your ground beef, your fish, and then you can start using some supplements like protein shakes and protein bars if you don't have the accessibility or the time to take in the whole foods. Then we can use the supplements. Health effects and recommended intakes of protein. A high protein intake does not cause kidney disease, but it does increase the work of the kidneys. So if there's already an underlying issue, it can definitely make it a lot worse. But obviously we do want to keep an eye on our intake. Health effects and recommended intakes of protein. Protein does not seem to increase the risk of cancer, but some protein-rich foods like processed meats have been associated with cancer increases of the colon, pancreas, and ovaries. So you do want to be careful with how much processed meats you guys take in. So just be aware of that, guys, and do your best to take in high quality foods. Health effects and recommended intakes. The RDA of protein is your recommended daily allowance, 0.8 grams per kilogram of healthy body weight. And it all depends, guys, like I said, if you're a trained athlete, if you're sedentary, these numbers can vary dramatically. So it just really depends on your current state, your current activity level, and a lot of other factors as well. So for example, I take in 275 grams of protein per day, but that's based off of how much I exercise and how many years of weight training that I've been involved in. So just something to think about. And if you have any questions on how much protein that you should take in, just let me know and we can go over that. If you guys have any questions regarding any of the nutrition videos, anything about macronutrients, your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, just please let me know. You guys can call, email, anytime. And all my information is all over the website. So I hope you guys are able to get all your work done. And just please get in touch anytime you guys have any questions. I hope you guys have a good day.